Good evening and welcome to the City of Clawson Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting for Monday, October 8th, 2018. I'll call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Christina Jabori and Michael Fenton were not able to be at our meeting this evening. We are approving the minutes from the August meeting because we did not have a September meeting due to everybody's schedules. So if you remember the August minutes, did anybody, I think everybody had time to make their corrections, and so we just need to approve those.
I move that we approve the August minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. You got the recreation reports and the senior citizen reports for August and September. I don't know if you had any questions on any of those.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Moving on to old business, just sort of a summary of things. The tot lot play structures. If you remember a long time ago, we talked about getting these. Just to reiterate a little bit what happened, we had applied for a grant. We had gotten money donated from the Lions Club and the Rotary towards the purchase of 2 pieces of equipment for the city park, one for the tot lot, one over by the larger play structure. We did not get the grant, and then somebody told me to contact the Masonic Lodge and see if they would be willing to donate some money. So I sent them a letter, and I left it open-ended. I didn't say a specific amount, and they contacted me, and they are going to be donating $5,000
Oh, how wonderful.
towards the playground equipment. So at the next council meeting next Tuesday, we've invited all 3 groups to send a representative so they can be recognized by council for their donations towards the 2 new pieces. And the delay, I mean, even if we had ordered them in August, it was 12 weeks to get the play equipment. We wouldn't have put it in December anyways, just to sit the winter. So we'll order it. It should be delivered, and we'll be able to put it in first thing in the spring.
That's
Very
great.
good. Very good.
Thank you.
So that's the update on that, and thanks to all the generous support from those organizations. Help us out a lot in a lot of ways. As I mentioned at the last meeting, we're going to leave the ground cover till the spring as well. It's pretty late in the season to be doing that. On our back burner, as always, the review of park ordinances. We really haven't had everybody here to talk about it, and I think over the summer everybody's been pretty busy. Like I said, it's probably not everybody's top reading material. So, the foul ball netting. I have been contacted by the youth baseball organization and youth softball, and they, are both concerned as well about the foul ball netting, especially to go between the first baseline of the hardball field to protect people and players on the softball field. I had a company finally come out the beginning of August and measure it all out. I had not heard from them, sent them a couple more emails, finally got another contact number for them. 2 weeks ago, I heard that they were just waiting on the pricing of the actual netting, but I still have gotten no quote.
Oh.
I was given another company's name, and I contacted them. He was supposed to come out last week, Monday or Tuesday. To my knowledge, he never came out. I've never heard from him. I've emailed him again a couple times, and I know they're very busy and everything, but I have not heard from him yet either, so that's still kind of up in limbo right now. We're trying to get some pricing. The original pricing I got was very expensive. It was like $100,000. That was to do the first baseline and the third baseline. So supposedly, these other companies, from what youth baseball is telling me, is going to be less expensive.
Okay.
So I guess we don't know that till we see the quotes. I had an email. Any other questions about foul ball netting? No? Okay. Moving on to farmers market. The last I heard, Penny was still leaning towards having the market every Sunday, having a flower day in May, and then not starting the market until I think July or something, when actual Michigan produce is coming in, and then ending it in August, not running into
Doing it for
September.
2 months?
Yeah, maybe it's June, July, and August. That was the last I heard, and she didn't ask really for anything from us at this point. So I guess we'll see what next year brings and if they get their vendors back.
Okay.
At our last meeting, we discussed the possibility of the skate park giving back to the city that initial startup money. I have not heard anything from them, and we didn't meet last month, and Christina's not here tonight, so I don't know anything more on that at this point. Any
Okay.
questions on that? No. Okay, moving on to new business. As many of you know, the corner of Elmwood and Main Street is called Rotary Park. That was a piece of property that the city had gotten. The house had to be tore down because the ground was kind of contaminated there from a building that was kitty corner over in Troy somehow. But anyways, the city got that property, and the Rotary asked if they could turn it into a park, which it looks lovely. They put the brick path in there and the flowers, and there's a nice bench and a table. They did have some interest and wondered what we thought about putting in some exercise equipment there. Now, like outdoor exercise equipment. I don't know if you've seen anything like that. I know in Florida and some of the warmer climates, they do have those things. Like there might be a stationary bike. I mean, it's geared for outdoors. It's not like, one that you see in the gym. I mean, it's more designed to be outdoors.
Would it be like the one that they have where the horseshoe
That's like a whole
workout
structure.
area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
That type of
not
equipment?
sure.
No? You're
Yeah,
not?
what they talked more about was maybe exercise bikes, or maybe something like a, I don't know, like an elliptical or one of those gazelle things, where you move your arms and legs on it. They had some different ideas, but they just wondered what we thought about that. I suppose if somebody was out taking a jog or walking, it would be a neat place to stop and
While they're waiting for the light.
do a different.
Sometimes that light can
Maybe
be
if
very
they-
long.
Yeah. So I don't know. They just asked. This was quite a while ago, obviously, since we haven't met for a few months. But I'm sure if we said we were a little more, we'd want to see a little more
Yeah.
fleshed out what that would look like.
Is it equipment that would be left there year-round? It's an outdoor exercise
Designed
equipment?
for outdoor exercise
I
equipment.
think that they have some, if I'm not mistaken, down on the DeQuinder Cut. There's the bike path that's down
Yeah,
there. They have a section that they have exercise equipment there.
And what does that look like when you've seen it?
It's really kind of rustic looking. It's not very eye appealing for it to be outside year round. It's not really. I drove by it on a bike a couple of
Yeah.
times, but really hadn't. Not that enthusiastic to go and use the equipment. So.
Yeah, I like the concept that, because a lot of people go out for a walk or whatever, and it would be kind of fun to stop there and do something a little different for maybe 5-10 minutes and then carry on your walk. My only concern, I guess, is because it's right there on that corner. It's pretty
Open to everybody.
open and visible all the time.
Right.
And it looks so pretty right now but I guess to get more use out of the space, they were thinking maybe
Yeah,
something
'cause
along those
I don't
lines.
think I've ever seen anybody really sitting in that area
I've
at
seen.
night.
Yeah,
Because, I'm not around and
Yeah.
about during the daytime,
right, yeah.
unfortunately. But
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what their thoughts about what type of equipment, how many pieces of equipment.
Okay.
be nice
know.
to see.
Now,
Okay.
would it be our responsibility to purchase said equipment?
I think that's something they wanted to do.
Oh,
Yeah.
And the upkeep and that.
The upkeep, I'm sure, as far as DPW concerned, it's another mowing obstacle, but,
Yeah, but they could probably square it in.
yeah, I
Make
think
it easy for them.
it's certainly something I think we could investigate a little bit more. Is that, are you in agreement to that?
Yeah, yeah.
we look into it.
Okay. I will let them know that.
Biggest thing, it seems like so much of the time that stuff just kind of wears out and just falls apart and then becomes an eyesore. But if they're making something more beefy or whatever just for that.
Yeah, the ones they have at the DeQuinder Cut are, I didn't see an exercise bike, but they had like a bar that had like roller bearing swivels that you could put your legs in and, you know,
Yeah,
that kind of a thing.
yeah.
We'll look,
Okay.
look into it.
We'll see what they come up with or what they're thinking about. Look into it a little bit more. Any other questions or comments on that? Moving on to dog signage. I didn't actually bring the sheet, but you were able to see on Jim's phone. We were at a high school sports complex on the west side of the state, and they had signs posted quite frequently along all of their athletic fields that had sort of the outline of a dog with the circle and the slash through it, like no dogs allowed on this field except for service animals that are in use as a service animal. And, you know, we've had some complaints about people having their dogs out on the artificial turf field. I know the Bywood soccer field, people shut the gates and let their dog run wild in there as well. You know, so I really liked the sign. I liked the way it looked. It stood out. It was noticeable, you know. And so I was sort of thinking about the possibility of doing something like that around our turf field and at the Bywood field, you know, places where we do have it fenced off like that. I would love to put it at the tot lot, just because people are using that as a dog park. However, I do feel that some families walk up to the park with their dog, and they may want to go in there while their child is playing and they have their dog on a leash, you know, which is perfectly fine. It's the people that shut the gate and take their dog off the leash and let it just run all around in there, you know. So I'm not sure how we could address that issue.
Well, it should be posted anywhere where sporting takes place.
Right.
You know, the general park, you know, that's,
Yeah.
but definitely any entrance to any ball field, football field, stadium field, you know.
You know how they used to have in that cross area where the two turnarounds are there on Custer, they used to have the doggy bags there. I wonder if we couldn't maybe put something like that over by the tot lot as well, and a little sign, you know, if you have your dog here, maybe that would help with the tot lot.
So are you
area.
thinking putting another doggy bag thing at the tot lot along with a sign
Yeah,
of some
with
sort?
a sign of some, you know, if your dog, you know, however it is, your dog messes, you clean it up, you know. But I think we should go with the dog signage around all the fields anyway, the baseball fields and the turf and stuff. The ones you're talking about, no dogs allowed.
Yeah, I think the games, you know, kids, soccer field and that really shouldn't be a place for dogs to run. People that walk their dogs are usually pretty responsible about when it's on a leash and it stops and does its, you know, does its thing. They're there and usually they pick it up and walk
Yeah.
away. But if it's running free in that whole area, sometimes you just don't pay attention and there it sits and then kids are out there playing. It's really something that should be considered as far as no dogs allowed. There are enough places, I think, around in City Park and that people can walk their dogs or
Or
have-
their dog
have
has
the
to be
opportunity.
kept on a leash in the top lot
Right.
area.
Yeah,
or
are
something.
they asked to keep dogs on a leash at all in the tot lot?
Well, I mean, you're supposed to in the whole park.
Yeah.
You know, the tot lot isn't a different area, it's part of the park. So wherever you are in the park, you should have your dog on a leash.
Leash, okay. But you're saying on the soccer fields, people go there with their dogs and just let them run?
Yeah,
I've seen
anything
that.
that can be gated off,
I've seen that.
then they take the dog off the leash and it's like a huge fenced-in
Right.
area and then it just runs.
Yeah.
So,
And there's no ordinance regarding people and dogs and taking them off their leash?
you're being funny. Yes, there is an ordinance. there is an ordinance to that effect, but,
I think the signage is a good idea. I think that's something we should go forward with.
yeah, okay. And maybe I can look up maybe some more better wording to put it on the tot lot fence, only dogs on leash and under
Something
the
like that,
control of an
yeah.
owner.
Right. Right.
Okay. All right, I'll look more into that, getting those signs. And then we'll have to try to figure out about how many of them we'd really need, to put,
Around the baseball fields
Yeah.
and stuff.
because it would need to go on both sides of I guess really if you,
They should put them on the gates, for sure.
yeah, it's interesting at the field we were at though, it was every other section of fencing almost.
Wow.
Buildings. They had it on
They
the
had it on
field.
buildings, yeah.
They must have.
Bruce, they must have a serious problem.
Well, it's a beautiful facility,
Yeah.
and they want to keep it that way. That's, that's
Yeah.
what you have to do. I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
And
I maybe find out what the cost for the
Yeah.
signs would be, and
And
then we
then
can go from there.
take a
how
look
many.
at it and see, yeah, okay. So I will get a cost
might
and,
be able to on that is put in smaller text too underneath, all dogs, city ordinance, all dogs must be on a leash.
Yeah.
Then you're kind of covered that way too. Could you read the fine print?
okay.
Yeah,
At least it's
yeah.
All right,
You have
I'll
it
get
told.
some, and I could contact Grand Haven Public Schools too and find out where they
Where they
got their
got 'em.
signs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, because if they've already got the design up, it'd probably be a lot less
Yeah.
to use it.
Any other comments on the dog sign? Okay. Upcoming events, we are full swing into fall. This week, the high school is doing quite a bit at the park. There's going to be a home soccer game on tomorrow night, followed by a bonfire, because this is Spirit Week. Homecoming is on Friday. And then they're having a large parade this year, too. Sounds like they've got a lot of different groups that'll be in the parade. That'll happen, obviously, before the football game Friday night. So kind of a fun week for the schools, I'm sure. Fall Festival went well, considering the weather. The car show was canceled in the morning, but we went ahead and did the Fall Festival. We had to move some things around, so the layout wasn't quite as convenient as we've had it in years past, but many people came out. Thank you to the community for coming out and supporting our Fall Festival, and I hope that you all enjoyed the things that our community groups did at the event. We had the Masonic Lodge was there doing the Child ID program, and the Friends of the Library were there. They provided a photo area for families, and then also a craft for kids. A-OK Kids were there, and they did face painting and crafts with the kids. We had some inflatables. The Rotary was there doing a corn roast. The Chamber of Commerce was there, and they had the Taste of the Town. Unfortunately, only three restaurants showed up, but I think those people that took part in that enjoyed it. And all in all, we had some of the vendors from Farmers Market came, and it worked out well. I was very pleased. The DPW provided hay rides for 3 hours.
Wow.
And the Clawson Fire Department did an excellent job with the bonfire at the end of the night. So it was a good event. Coming up, Senior Center will be having their White Elephant Sale. That's the second Saturday in November, same as the Christmas in Clawson with the high school. That's our Senior Center's big fundraiser of the year. We'll have the tree lighting coming up in November. I think it's the last Wednesday in November will be our tree lighting at the library. And this year, the library is going to be holding a craft for kids prior to the tree lighting where they can make an ornament and then hang it on the tree.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be kind of fun, a little added something to the event. The high school choir is going to come again and lead our singing at that event, and I will try to get one of the reindeers there again. It's fun for kids to see a live reindeer, so
Yeah.
just adds a little bit to the event. The Highlights newsletters will be going out again for the winter session. I apologize to the community. We found out that many of you weren't getting our highlights, so we have ordered 900 more copies, and hopefully this time everybody will get one. Those should be going out the end of November, and that will cover all the activities through the winter.
Okay.
That's pretty much what we've got coming up here.
And the highlights is online also, isn't it?
Yes, Highlights is online, so you can always go to cityofclawson.com and you'll be able to find all the information there as well. A lot of people, though, like that paper in their hand, so we will still, at least for the time being, we're going to be mailing those out. Any other comments or concerns or new business or anything you feel we need to discuss this evening? I have to officially open it up for public comment. There's nobody here, so I think that can be closed.
Then I move we adjourn.
And Norm moves we adjourn.
I will second it.
Thank you.